This is the first episode of 2024.
Woohoo! What is it? Why is it that people put themselves, set goals like this and actually don't get around to doing it?
If you're not posting right now, and you post once a week, but you post once a week every week for a quarter, that is what, like 4 times 3, that's 12 posts you've done that you would never have done before.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Ultimate Marketing Podcast. This is the first episode of 2024.
Woohoo!
Hope everybody had a brilliant New Year and a brilliant Christmas. And today we're going to be talking about planning. But just before we go into that, just remember to like, comment, subscribe, follow us on our various podcast platforms and also on our YouTube channel. Make sure you subscribe to us there as well. So today's conversation is going to be all about planning ahead for the year with your marketing. So Dee and Vish, have you done your planning for 2024?
I'll
Yes.
start with D. Start with D.
Dee, have you done your planning for
Yeah,
2024?
because I think it's important to plan.
Yeah.
I think that, obviously new year, new gear, new thoughts, new ideas, it's all gonna happen. And I think, over Christmas, over December, it gives me time to think about what I haven't done, what were my intentions in 2023 that I didn't get round to doing, and what do I want to do in 2024? So, and I think it includes some of the same. So things like, making sure that my social media is consistent, my LinkedIn is consistent, the content I'm putting out. So there's all that social media marketing element, and just doing more of it. Plus, it's also time for me to market, because LinkedIn has obviously changed, and my done for you, the technology has evolved in the done for you. So now, with AI, we've talked about that previously in our podcast episodes. With AI, there's lots of new things happening on the LinkedIn done for you that we're doing, which is going to make it so easy for my clients to be able to attract more leads and save time, because of the way that our software now works. So there's all of that, putting that out there, like new brochure, doing maybe more webinars about how it all works, so that people can see it in real time, and really just educating more of the market. And then my one biggest goal for 2024 is my YouTube channel.
Okay.
Yeah, you said last episode.
Yes, I just haven't done enough of that. And I've always meant to. I know YouTube is still a very strong platform. Probably YouTube and TikTok. Those are my two that I want to grow further.
Interesting. How about you, Vish? Have you done your planning yet, or you still need to do it? And what's your big goal for this year?
So really good question. And I'm sorry to kind of like deflect that one onto D. But again, similar sort of situation. I looked back on 23 and I was like, what did I want to do 23, and what didn't happen? And a lot of it was around content. And so I've now planned it out whereby I've not over planned, where I know I'm just going to freeze and not do anything. I've given myself a lot of breathe room in there to do the reactive marketing, which I think is really important as well. But I've got a month-to-month plan with like the major kind of like festivals or like things that are happening, like taken care of. And I'm actually making a concerted effort to, as well as doing our client stuff, like also getting my stuff planned in and produced and ready to go out. But also like looking at different softwares that help that, looking at like scheduling softwares that can post onto Instagram, TikTok, and LinkedIn for you. Just spending time and how we can bring back some of that time, so it frees up, so we don't have to sit there and post. all the time, because that's what it is. That's a challenge, isn't it? It's a sitting there and posting that becomes the issue, not the writing the content. We all love doing that, but it's like, oh yeah, like you're in the middle of doing something and something happens, or you get a phone call, or you want to jump on something, or you just want to take time off and spend it with like your family, your kids, whatever you want to do, right? And then posting almost becomes a secondary focus, as it were. So I'm trying to give it the respect it needs this year, and I know that Q1 will start off that way. I'm just going to keep like motivated and focused on getting all the other keys done as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
What about you, Sarah? What's your plan?
Yeah, thanks for asking, Dee. So for me, 2023 was about getting more visible. So that was around doing more on social media. Obviously, we started our podcast to increase visibility. Woohoo! So I achieved that. So I think 2024 is like increasing that further. So I want to do more speaking in 2024. So I've already signed up for a couple of speaking gigs coming up.
Awesome.
This month. So I'm going to do that. I want to do more of my own sort of webinars and masterclasses. So I've done some before, but what I haven't done is done it consistently.
Yeah.
So one of my key things I want to do this year is do it like monthly.
Yeah.
Monthly, maybe every 2 weeks. I don't know yet, but probably monthly. So I'm doing something regularly. So I think with all marketing, consistency is key. And we've talked about consistency before. Yeah. So I think, it's like picking something, because you can do everything. You can do anything, but you can't do everything, as one of our mentors says. So it's about picking something and just being consistent with it. So for me, it's going to be speaking, whether that's speaking on other people's stages or speaking on my own stage. I think that's my thing. And then I'll continue, obviously, with our podcast and the social media visibility.
Well, talking of the podcast, I am looking forward to the amazing guests that we got coming on the podcast as well. Yes. So, and we've already planned that, haven't we? Because we've been planning that.
We did that in advance.
So it's amazing, isn't it? How, we do this collectively, and I probably put more planning into this than I do my own marketing. Which is really interesting, because I've been, one of the things I've been wanting to do, again, wanting to do it for 2023 and didn't do enough of it. But now have a focus on that in 2024 as well, is LinkedIn audio, because I've had the audio platform, access to it for a long time. Obviously, I was instrumental in getting onto Clubhouse when it came out. That was just like, I was, and then the whole idea of me leaving Clubhouse was to come over to LinkedIn audio, but didn't get round to doing it. And so that's another 2024 plan. But I think what you said, Vish, is it's that, in fact, both of you said it is that consistency. It's like, okay, when am I going to do this? What's the schedule for this? I think that's the key thing, isn't it? It's having a schedule and having a plan, having something written down so that you don't veer off it, around your other commitments, whether that be family, whether that be, you just want to enjoy the evening off, or whether you have a date night or whatever it might be. Right. So, all of those things, how can you schedule everything around it? But,
so I think that's key in it. It's like we've all decided on what our goal is going to be for 2024, what we want to focus on most in relation to our own marketing. Yeah. But then it's around actually planning that out and putting it in the diary. Because if it's in the diary, it's more likely to get done. So it's all very easy to say, right, I'm going to do a masterclass every month. But unless I've actually put it in the diary, so I know what day I'm doing it, when I'm doing it, then I hold myself to account to achieve it. So I think that's part of planning as well, isn't it? It's like you've actually got to work out when you're going to do the things, put it in your diary, and make sure you do it, and not let ourselves off the hook, because it's all too easy to not do it.
And I think I'd like to delve deeper into that, actually, about the not doing it. Like, I know that at the end of every year, just like I did at the end of 2023, I put out, marketing, really to sort of kind of entice people to start making changes in the new year, because if they haven't done it so far, let's start doing it now. And people get really excited. Yes, 2023, I'm going to get on LinkedIn and I'm going to do more, and I'm going to, sign up for this course with you, Dee, and I'm going to, these are the things I'm going to do. But then they don't do it, and they wait another whole year before they even think about doing it again. Another year passes. I almost can see myself, like, I'm sure my next email out out will be, hey, you've let 2023 go. Don't let the same thing happen in 2024. It's almost like a repetitive email that goes out every January. And I feel like I'm going to be doing it this month as well again. But what is it? Why is it that people put themselves, set goals like this and actually don't get around to doing it or don't take the leap of faith?
Yeah, I think it's about having a strong enough reason to do it, isn't it? And it's that age-old thing around, like, if you had to go to the doctors, you would make the time, or the dentist, you would make the time. But when it's our own stuff, it's all too easy to say, "Oh, I haven't got time to do that. I'm going to go and do something else instead." But it just means that thing's not a big enough priority. Because if it was,
actually, the
we'd make the
marketing
time.
isn't a big enough priority, which is interesting because, like you said, if it's our own thing, if it's our own health, or like you said, it's a doctor's appointment or it's something like that, if it's a priority. So then there's a question, obviously, as marketeers, like our, audience, maybe if they're not getting people signing up for their products or services, even if they're putting it out there and they are marketing, maybe looking at their messaging and giving a strong reason, giving their audience a strong reason. And maybe that's something that we all could probably learn from.
100%. But then also the way that I look at it as well, and I think this is the way that I sell it to myself in my head, is I'm a marketer technically, but I'm also a business owner, and I'm the same as my clients are. And so this, and it's been playing on my mind for a while. I think we had an offline conversation about this. Is like, should I outsource my marketing? But I'm the expert at marketing, so why should I do that? I've got to make time for myself to do it. I have to give it priority because the question I've been asked is, but you don't do this, you don't do that. I'm like, but look at the results we've got for people, right? And that the results are what is actually what counts. So it's a bit of a double-edged sword. I think you need to do it. I think there's certain things from a marketing perspective you just have to do. You just JFDI, just fucking do it, get on with it, get it done. And I've eaten that pill this year, which is why I'm talking like this. It's 2024. It's the start, right? This is how it starts. I don't know how it ends.
But I think it's that thing, isn't it? Which is exactly what Sarah said.
Yeah.
That the whole thing around making sure that in our marketing that we're planning to do this year, that for our audience, we have a strong enough reason.
Yeah.
Because we as marketeers are the ones that have to shift our audience from being inactive to being active. And taking that leap of faith. And I think, if you are an entrepreneur wanting to market your business and you're not getting the clients on board, I think it's worth looking at what reason are you putting out there that they should be doing this. And I think that's something that hopefully every listener and viewer will take away from this podcast is, let me go and review my marketing plan, because is the message in my marketing strong enough, like Sarah said, that it'll entice their audience, whoever their ideal client is, to actually transform, because marketing should be transformation, not just information.
I was just going to say about marketing being based on pain, isn't it? So a lot of the time, as marketeers, we're helping identify the pain points, and those pain points need to be strong enough to motivate us to take an action.
Well, the consequences of the pain needs to be, I think, doesn't it? Yeah.
And the consequences of not doing it need to be high enough to make it important to do it.
Maybe that's the issue. Maybe the issue is that as marketeers, some of our viewers and audience members, they talk a lot about the pain, but maybe not enough about the consequence.
Yeah.
But pain is individual, right? Everybody experiences pain in a different way, shape, form, but the impact it has on our lives is shared. That's why people say a problem shared is a problem halved, because they can relate to the impact and the consequences of it, which I think is a really important thing for marketing. Like, what does that mean for me? That whole radio station that we all like listening to, right? WIIFM, what's in it for me, right? Because people don't care about it. Like, you can talk about other people's pain, but when it affects you, that's when it becomes real. Or you can relate to it, that's when it becomes real, because it's like something that you would have experienced before. So I think that's really important, and getting them to shift that is important as well. But also, from what I was saying, like the pain that I've experienced is people going to me, what why are you not doing it? You're telling me to do it. Why are you not doing it? And it's almost like that kind of parent-child relationship, isn't it? Like, don't what was it? Don't do as I
So don't do as I say, do as I don't do as I
do as
do,
I
do as I
do,
say.
do as I say. Yeah, and it's like I've got to break out of that because I'm not like that as a parent. So why should I be that as a mother? And that's why this year I'm going for it. Like
You're
I'm really.
leading by example, Vish.
Yeah, you have to. I think you do need to lead by example. Taking it to a level above, which is like us as marketeers.
But I think
we
it's credibility as well, isn't it?
Yeah,
Unfortunately, like you said, even though you're getting the results from people and the results should matter, it's also what's visible. Like if I was getting the results from my LinkedIn clients, but I had 50 connections on mine with no banner, no content written, nothing like that, but I was just teaching it, people would, I'd probably get less clients because people would come to my LinkedIn to see what I do. And it's like, okay, let me go and have a look at a LinkedIn. I remember, when you get those people in your spammy emails where they go, oh, have you ever thought about using LinkedIn? And I'm thinking to my God, here we go. And they talk about how they can get me lots of appointments on LinkedIn. And then I go and look at their LinkedIn and they don't even have a picture.
And you think that's not credible.
Yeah, and I'm just like, well, actually, you're not doing much for your own LinkedIn. How can you help me? So I like that goal, Vish. I like that goal.
Yeah.
It's practicing what we preach, isn't it? And I think, and also cobbler's children. So as the experts, as the cobbler, we don't always have time to create the shoes or make the shoes for our own kids.
Yeah.
So it's that thing, isn't it? Like as marketers, we know exactly what needs to be done. But because we're so focused on delivering results for our clients, and that's important to us, like all of us, that's important to us, we sometimes let our own stuff slip.
Yeah.
Because we're more focused on having a great outcome for our clients than we are on necessarily doing the marketing so we have a great outcome for ourselves.
But I also want to be in a position where I can turn around and go, actually, it's not my client's money I spent like, and I've done that. I spent other people's money because they trusted me with it. I also spent my own money. So I can't actually put my money where my mouth is.
Yeah.
So what's the objection now? Ha 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 ha. Not that it's been an objection up to now because we got some banging testimonials, right?
Yeah.
And like just using those with customers, they're like, okay, wow, like let's have conversations because we know you're serious. But I'd like to be a bit bullshit about it and go, actually, it's not just my customers' money, it's my money.
Yeah. Talking of marketing plans, obviously this is really important, isn't it? Like you said, Sarah, at the start, like this is quarter one for some people, but it's a new year for everybody.
Yeah.
What makes a good marketing plan? What did you put in your marketing plans, or how did you plan your marketing plan? Because I think our viewers would probably really benefit from that. Like, what did you guys have to do to create a plan?
For me, it's like comes down to the goals. Like which we started off with is like, what are our actual goals for the year? What do we want to achieve this year? And then you break that down. So it's a bit like the thing around like how do you eat an elephant one bite at a time. So it's like, what is my goal? And then I've got to break that down into an actual plan of things that I need to do.
Yeah.
So when I say I want more speaking gigs, then I have to write down, well, how many do I want? When do I want to do them? How often do I want to run a masterclass? When do I want to do them? And then actually put it in my diary rather than have it on a bit of paper.
Yeah.
Or on a document on my computer.
Scribble down.
Yeah, exactly.
What about you, Vish?
See, I wanted to I wanted to mess with it this year. So I've kept it around three main areas. So education, inspiration, and then like implementation. Like this is something you can do. And then those are the three streams that I'm going to talk about every week.
Oh my gosh, look at your plan.
Dude, like I've been reading so much and looking at stuff so much, and like, how can I make? So it's okay. So rather than break it down to the nth degree, what has changed about my plan and what's made it like what have I planned around it? Achievability. Can I do it so that it doesn't take me away from what I'm doing? Is there a way for me to create the content in what I'm doing day to day that I have no excuses left? Like I've now devoided all the excuses that I could possibly make.
Yeah.
And like the office is
that goes back to what Sarah's saying, right, Sarah?
Yeah.
Like with the goal and the reverse engineering and breaking it down.
Yeah, and that's exactly what I've done.
Strong enough reason to do it. Like if you haven't got a strong reason to do it, you won't do it.
No. And now I've got no, like, yeah, yeah, 100%, like, strong reason. The reasons are there that I want to be able to talk about it and say, look at my marketing. But then I know the way that my brain functions. I've just taken all opportunities for excuses and just gone, see you later. Fuck off. I don't want you here. And that's how, like, I've got to do it. Like, looking year on year, what's the thing that's changed? It's achievability. It's I've made it so achievable that if I don't do it, like, I'm gonna have to hit myself because it's idiot proof.
Yeah.
How can you not do it? Then I can do, at the end of the month, I can turn around to myself and go, Vish, you are a class 1 idiot, and you guys can hold me accountable to it as well.
Well, I think that's a key thing, isn't it? Accountability. I mean,
100%.
I've done mine slightly differently, so I plan it quarterly.
Okay.
Only because things change.
Yeah.
So, but I'm thinking I might do a yearly now and break it down, but I do it quarterly and do the same thing, reverse engineer it. So if I want to achieve this in this quarter, what do I need to be doing in terms of both organic, paid, all of those elements, like you spoke about, Sarah, like the webinars, etc. In order for me to run a webinar in month 2, what do I need to have done in month 1 to promote that webinar? Because obviously, as we know, it goes back to what Sarah was saying about the scheduling and the planning. So I'll do it quarterly, and then the next quarter, because then I know, right, okay, this webinar didn't work, maybe I need to change track on it, or maybe it goes back to what we spoke about before the new year in our last episode, where we talked about seasonal things. So is there something happening in the second quarter? Are there more speaking gigs, for example, like Sarah said? Is there are there things that is going to bring? So I think I plan mine quarter by quarter, so it just allows me to then chop and change if I need to.
I think that's an important point, though. I think it's good to have a goal for the year in terms of the key thing you want to achieve, but then you do need quarterly plans. So you have your annual plan, but then you've got to have quarterly plans, and then monthly plans and weekly plans and daily plans. So, everything gets broken down, but also you've got to allow time to review because, as you said, things change. So you can set your Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4 plan, but at the end of Q1, you've got to actually review what's gone on, what's worked, what hasn't, and then adjust your Q2 plan accordingly.
Yeah.
Because you might want to make some changes based on what happened.
Yeah. So I wonder how many people actually plan their marketing in the way that we're talking about, because I think for many, especially entrepreneurs, solopreneurs, people doing everything on their own. It's almost haphazard, isn't it? Like they just do
fly
it
by the seat of your pants.
Yes, basically. So and it becomes this like, oh, I've got to do this, but I haven't done that yet, or let me go and do this because it's a new shiny thing that needs to be done. So what are the consequences of maybe doing it like that? There's obviously some benefits because you jump on things straight away, so you can get into something as an early adopter. But I think there's also consequences of not planning, isn't there?
There are, and that's typically what I would have done for my own stuff. Like we plan everybody else's. Why are we not using that ourselves? Right? That's the bottom line question. But having been someone who's a reformed not person who planned for himself and being able to comment on it from looking at what we do for other people, our stuff was really haphazard. There's no when you plan your content, there's a story, right? There's an underlying momentum. There's continuity, which I think is really, really important when it comes down to messaging and the content you put out there. And that wasn't there. Like, that's never been there. And it will be here now in 2024, because my last post will lead into the next post, will lead into the following post. And then when you look at everything from like an overview over a year, I've told a story. Right. And that's what's really important, because I and looking at it from a story analogy, Q1, Q2, Q3, Q4, in whichever order they are, they start in January, start in December, it doesn't matter. They're different chapters of your book for that year. And then your individual months then become the different sections and so on and so forth. And I think when you focus on those 3 areas around what I spoke about earlier, then like you definitely get a really solid solid story across. And I think that's what over time helps build rapport with your client.
Yeah.
But what I also want to do is I want to take all the posts
Mm-hmm.
and then I want to convert them. This is big thinking at the moment, so we don't know if this is going to happen or not. But I want to convert them into a 52-week email series.
Okay. Yeah.
So what would then happen is you then sign up for it, and then rather than have to wait for a year worth of content to come out, like it just comes out to you, drip feeds to you, and we can keep KIT with people that way. A great way to try and collect data as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely.
I think it's about having structure, isn't it? Structure and purpose, and clarity. And also it's about measuring, isn't it? Because if you don't have a plan, you can't measure anything, and therefore you don't know how well you've done.
Yeah.
Whereas one of the reasons to have a plan is so you can actually measure your results and review how well you've done and make adjustments based on how well you've done.
Yeah,
Because if you don't have a plan, you're not going to measure anything. You don't know if you've achieved what you haven't. Well, you don't know how well you've done because you haven't had anything to measure it.
Yeah.
Sorry, guys. I know this feels like a therapy session for me today. This really feels like a therapy session for me today. It's good though. It's good because
I think it's important, isn't it, for our viewers and our listeners to start thinking about, while we're in January, start thinking about what their plan is, especially if they haven't made one. And I think listening to how each of us have done our individual plans, I think is important because there'll be people starting at different levels and different stages. And I think some people can definitely do it on that yearly basis. So having a yearly goal, a big yearly goal, and then reverse engineering it, then having those quarterly goals and breaking those down. And I think one piece of advice that I'd probably give is don't, it's what you said, Vish, about achievability. Do something that obviously is aspirational, but something that where you won't fall off the wagon. For example, if you can post twice a week on LinkedIn instead of 3 times, do it twice for now.
Yeah.
And then grow as you grow.
Grow as you grow. I like it.
Grow.
But achievability, I was even thinking, you know what, Vish, put together a social media planner and give it away. And I was like, no, you can't do that. The one thing, don't worry about all these templates and whatever people give you. Yeah, it's good to know when the holidays are, what falls on what day to utilize it and leverage that or whatever. But just go super simple. 3 months, break your months down into weeks, and then pick the days you want to post and stick to it. That's the only plan you should follow. If it's
I've got a social media planner for you if you want.
Oh, you send it over, man.
You need to opt in for it.
Yeah. Oh no, don't worry, you opt in. And I'm probably still access to your systems. I'll download it anyway. Don't worry. But yeah, look, don't if you're not posting right now, and you post once a week, but you post once a week every week for a quarter.
Yeah, that's what it is.
That is what 4 times 3, 12 posts you've done that you would never have done before.
Exactly.
Right? Yeah. Now think about doing 2 posts a week. That's 24. Think about doing 3 posts a week. That's 36.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. Then my math is coming through.
I wasn't even going to go there because my math is terrible.
Yeah, that's really bad. But there you go, right? So now you've just done 36 posts, and it could be a minute to 2 minutes worth of content. Doesn't need to be anything else. Could be a written piece. It shouldn't take you too long. Imagine that. In a quarter, all we've had to do is an hour's, potentially hour and a half worth of work.
Yeah.
If you split that up over a quarter, it's nothing.
And also diarising it. I think it's important. Put it in the diary like it's a doctor's appointment, right?
Yeah, or our meetings that used to happen on Thursday. That was in the diary.
It was in the diary.
I'm a hell or high water. Doesn't matter what I'm doing. That has to be done.
Yeah.
Right?
So that's the same with your time out to post or your time out to whatever it might, and it could be anything for everybody. But I think, you're right. I think, especially, and you might be somebody who's a planner, right? So you might do all of your week's post on a Sunday or a Saturday or a Friday. But then mark that out in your diary to go, right, this is my social media day. This is the day that I write all my posts for the rest of the following week. So I think, in a marketing plan, you almost need to have the strategy, and the goal, the plan itself, and then the actions that you're going to take.
Yeah, 100%.
And also bear in mind that social media is only one element of marketing. So
Exactly.
yes, it's a very important part of marketing, but there are also other things you can be
Yeah.
doing. So you've got to think about all the things that you want to do.
Like your
Yeah.
email list. Your
Oh, yeah.
Email list, speaking, joint ventures, partnerships,
webinars.
networking.
Yeah, man.
And there'll be things that'll come in
Podcast.
to interrupt, won't there? There'll be things that, like, you know, somebody will call me up and go, oh, by the way, can you do this thing for us on Thursday night, this webinar for us on Thursday night? Now that's something else that's been inserted in. And so therefore you might need to make adjustments.
Yeah.
So you need to plan for those elements as well. To the point that, you know, you don't get burnt out and you don't, flounder, I think is the right word. You don't do all of those things, but it still allows you to then, you know, adjust as you go along. And I think that's why we talk about the quarterly plan as well, because then if you've done something where you know that the delivery for the following quarter is going to take up most of your time, you can then make adjustments to, and that's where you can then start to scale and grow, because you know, that at that point you go, look, I've actually done so well in my marketing in quarter one that I now have the income to be able to outsource this whilst I deliver. And so that part of the marketing doesn't stop. And I think that, you know, if I was going to say the one regret that I had when I started my business was not outsourcing soon enough. So I still tried to do everything myself, because I thought that the best time to grow, scale and outsource was when I was already a 6-figure business. But actually, you know, getting a VA in or somebody like that to then aid you at the start, even if they're only doing 5 hours a month or whatever, it's something. So once you start bringing in that income, think about what time you will save and what you can do instead, while they get on with the task in hand that you can outsource to them.
Brilliant. So I think then, to like sum up everything we've said, is around making sure that you spend time creating your marketing plan. So decide what your big goal is for the year around your marketing, and then break that down into quarterly, monthly, weekly, daily activities that you need to do.
Yep.
And then what we were saying is make sure you review that plan, because things change. So it's, you know, just because you set something at the beginning of the year doesn't mean that's going to be cast in stone. Things do change. And we also said about very much like making sure you schedule it and put it in your diary to actually do the things that we've said we want to do for ourselves. And as Vish said about like making it achievable, so you want goals that are achievable. You don't want to have so many goals that just are so way out of your reach, you're never going to achieve them. Then you feel like you haven't done anything. So that has to be achievable. So I think that, and also we were saying around, you know, like we can be our own worst enemy and we can be cobbler's children and not do it. So it's about like we're setting the example for our clients and their clients, etc. So that's another reason to do it, is to be like leaders in what we do and, you know, practice what we preach. We said that's really important as well.
And I think that whole prioritization, you know, if we talk about the way to get our clients to want to do it, you know, by giving them a strong enough reason, make sure you've got a strong enough reason. So your goal for the year has to be strong enough that if you don't reach that goal, there is a consequence to it.
Yeah. And Vish, what's one key, like, final point you want to make or reiterate or summarize?
I think for someone who kind of put it on the back burner, the achievability one is top trumps for me, man. Like, make it so achievable. And have it very clearly defined. Like, I know what each post, just by definition of what the post is about, what it will be. I know that this will be inspirational, this will be educational, this will be like, you know, whatever. So
I think with that achievability comes consistency. I think because if it's achievable, you become consistent at it, don't you?
Oh yeah, 100%. But that's why I did it. Otherwise, the one thing that I lost was consistency. Like, it's nice to do it on a whim, but I don't want to do it on a whim. I want to do it. And one of the things I learned, like, actually from a good friend of mine called Dev Radia, shout out to Illatech. I was on the phone to him. He's like, right, I got to go. And he literally's like, I was like, where are you going? I need to talk to you about something. He said, no, I got to go. And I was like, what's up, dude? It's like 12 o'clock on a Thursday afternoon. So I've got to start doing my social media. I was like, what? He goes, yeah, for the next 5 hours, I'm locked out doing social media for the next 2 weeks. I was like, maybe he's onto something.
Yeah, exactly.
Time blocking, that's another key point, actually, just before we wrap up. Time blocking. You block out time to focus on one thing to get that done for the next week, 2 weeks, 3 weeks, 4 weeks, whatever it is. So you're not like diverted between many, many different things. You're going to say, right, Thursday afternoon, I'm going to spend that time doing my social media. I'm going to create enough content for the next month, and it's done.
Yep.
Look at that. Look at what our audience and listeners have got. A full step-by-step breakdown of how to plan their marketing plan.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
And if you'd like to hear more about how we do stuff, always like, comment, share, subscribe to any one of our podcast platforms. We're on YouTube as well, so ding that bell and you'll find out all about the episode. Just want to get that like, share one in there. Sorry,
Definitely.
Sarah. But handing over to you.
I was just going to say that. You picked me to the post. So, yeah.
I know, you got in there.
Got in there just before me. So
comment again. Remind them again, Sarah.
Remind you again to comment, like, subscribe, follow us on YouTube, subscribe to our YouTube channel so you can see us in action rather than just hear us in action. And obviously let us know what your comments are and what your plans are. Like Dee said, like, what plans have you put in place? What challenges do you have with it? Do you agree it's something that's important to do? We'd love to hear from you. So thanks everybody for tuning in this time, and we look forward to seeing you in the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye.
Ciao.